All right, kicking off the new year with a deep dive into AI. You
Yeah.
sent us a bunch of AI news, actually,
Okay.
specifically the last AI News Digest of 2024.
Ah,
It's really fascinating stuff. We're going to break down the most noteworthy bits for you.
sounds like a fun way to close out the year.
Yeah.
What jumped out at you from the digest?
Honestly, I was struck by how quiet things seem to be heading into 2025.
Hmm.
The Digest even mentioned this quiet New Year's Eve. You'd think the AI world would be buzzing nonstop, even during the holidays.
Yeah, interesting observation. Maybe even the most dedicated AI enthusiasts need a break to recharge. But even in this relative quiet, some intriguing developments were happening. One that caught my eye was DeepSeek V3.
Ah, yes, DeepSeek V3,
Hmm.
a massive AI model with 671 billion parameters.
Right.
It's generating quite a buzz, especially since it's running on platforms like Llama.cpp and achieving speeds of 7 to 9 tokens per second.
Yeah, those speeds are impressive, especially for a model of that size. But it's worth noting that DeepSeek V3 is still a work in progress. The developer is dealing with some complex challenges, including a new pre-tokenizer regex.
Wow.
Essentially, they're developing specialized code just to handle the vast amount of data the model processes.
So even with all this power, there are still technical hurdles to overcome.
Yep.
It makes you wonder, is this a sign of things to come? Will we see even larger, more complex models pushing the boundaries of what's possible?
It's definitely a trend to watch. As models grow in size and complexity, developers will face new challenges in optimizing their performance and making sure they can handle the demands of real-world applications.
Speaking of real-world applications, another big story from the digest was Alibaba's decision to slash prices on their large language models, LLMs, by up to 85%.
Wow.
That's a massive price drop.
It's a bold move by Alibaba, and it could signal a shift in the AI landscape. This dramatic price reduction could make powerful AI tools accessible to a much wider audience, including smaller businesses and individual developers who previously couldn't afford them.
That's potentially a huge game changer. Imagine the possibilities if cutting-edge AI becomes available to anyone with an internet connection. Could this be the start of a new era of AI innovation?
It's certainly possible wider access to AI tools could fuel creativity and lead to unexpected breakthroughs in various fields. But there's also the potential for a race to the bottom where companies prioritize cost-cutting over responsible development.
Right. It's a double-edged sword. Cheaper access is great, but we don't want to sacrifice quality or ethical considerations in the process. And speaking of competition, DeepSeek's developers are making some bold claims about their model's performance.
Yeah, they're claiming to have outperformed OpenAI's O1 model on several benchmarks, which is a significant statement. The AI community, however, is approaching these claims with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Understandable. There's always a bit of a show-me-the-data attitude when it comes to performance comparisons.
Right.
Plus, the lack of standardized benchmarks makes it difficult to definitively say which model is truly better.
Exactly. The AI field is still relatively young, and we're in the early stages of developing reliable ways to evaluate and compare these complex models. It's more nuanced than simply saying one model is faster or more accurate than another.
It sounds like we need to consider the context and specific use cases when evaluating these claims.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what are the motivations behind these performance comparisons? Is it purely about scientific progress, or is there an element of marketing and competition at play?
I'd say it's a mix of both. There's genuine excitement about pushing the boundaries of AI capabilities, but there's also the competitive drive to be seen as the leader in the field. And this ties into a broader discussion about the different approaches to AI development, open source versus proprietary.
Ah, yes, that's a crucial distinction, and it seems to be at the heart of a lot of the discussions happening in the AI community.
Indeed, OpenAI, for example, is known for its closed approach, keeping its models and data closely guarded. DeepSeek, on the other hand, is championing open source development, making its code and data available for others to use and build upon.
It's interesting to see these different philosophies play out.
Yeah.
What are the implications of each approach, and how do they impact the overall development of AI?
Well, there are arguments to be made on both sides. Open source proponents argue that it fosters transparency, collaboration, and faster innovation. It allows for a more diverse community of developers to contribute and potentially avoids the concentration of power in the hands of a few large corporations.
It sounds like a more democratic approach to AI development. But what about the potential downsides?
One concern is the risk of misuse. When models and code are publicly available, there's a greater chance they could be used for malicious purposes, such as creating deep fakes or developing autonomous weapons systems. There's also the potential for lower quality or less reliable tools, as open source projects often rely on volunteer contributions.
That makes sense. There are trade-offs to consider, but it seems like both approaches are shaping the AI landscape in their own ways.
Absolutely. And as we continue our deep dive, we'll see how this tension between open source and proprietary models plays out in various aspects of AI development.
Sounds like a fascinating exploration ahead. Before we move on, though, there was one more story from the digest that caught my eye. A Reddit user asking about using AI to preserve knowledge from a departing employee's massive 40 GB Outlook inbox.
That's a scenario with both intriguing possibilities and potential pitfalls. Using AI to extract valuable information from emails could be incredibly efficient, but it also raises significant ethical and legal concerns about data privacy and security.
It's a perfect example of how AI advancements often come with new challenges and dilemmas. Imagine the potential for unintended consequences if sensitive information were accidentally exposed or misused.
It highlights the need for careful consideration and responsible development practices. As AI becomes increasingly integrated into our lives, we need to ensure that ethical considerations are at the forefront.
Well said. It seems like every step forward in AI brings with it a new set of questions and considerations. It's definitely not all fun and games, even if it's an incredibly exciting field.
Indeed. And as we move on to discuss the latest updates in AI tools, we'll see that this theme of balancing innovation with responsibility continues to be a key focus.
All right, on that note, let's dive into the world of AI tools, the good, the bad, and the buggy.
Welcome back to our AI deep dive. Let's shift gears now and look at some of the specific tool updates and user experiences highlighted in the AI News Digest.
Yeah, I'm eager to hear more about those. Where should we start?
Well, let's begin with Todium's Windsurf editor. It seems to be generating a lot of buzz, both positive and negative. Some users are praising its AI-powered features, while others are encountering some frustrating roadblocks.
Sounds like a classic case of high expectations meeting the realities of a new technology. What are some of the specific issues users are reporting?
One recurring complaint is the frustration with user prompt credits. Some users are experiencing delays or even complete failures in receiving the credits they've purchased. Imagine paying for a premium feature and then not being able to use it.
Yeah.
Bound to cause some frustration.
I can definitely see why that would be annoying. It's like buying a ticket to a concert and then being told the venue is overbooked. Not exactly the seamless experience you were hoping for.
Exactly. These technical glitches can really sour the user experience. There are also reports of lengthy wait times for Windsurf's AI responses. Some users are experiencing delays of over 20 minutes.
Ugh, that's got to be frustrating. Especially when you're in the flow of coding and you hit a snag. Waiting 20 minutes for your AI assistant to catch up would definitely kill the momentum.
Precisely. It seems Codium is still working out some performance kinks, which is understandable given the complexity of integrating AI into a coding environment.
Yeah.
These issues highlight the importance of reliable infrastructure and responsive customer support if you're going to deliver a smooth user experience.
It sounds like there are some growing pains with Windsurf. But on the flip side, are there any aspects of the tool that users are particularly excited about?
Despite the technical hiccups, many users are impressed with Windsurf's AI-powered code completion and suggestion features. They find it helpful for boosting productivity and reducing errors. There's also a lot of interest in the potential for Windsurf to expand its capabilities beyond basic code editing.
So users are already looking ahead to what's next. What kind of features are they hoping to see?
Many users are asking for features like web crawling and direct repository ingestion. They want tools that can help them gather information, analyze code repositories, and automate tasks across different platforms.
It seems like users are envisioning Windsurf as more than just a code editor with a few AI tricks. They want it to be a versatile AI companion for their entire development workflow.
Precisely. And this desire for expanded functionality is also evident in the LM Studio community.
Right.
While Codium users are grappling with technical issues, LM Studio users are buzzing about the Steiner reasoning model and its impressive performance.
This Steiner reasoning model has come up a few times now. It sounds like it's making quite a splash. What's so special about it?
Well, for starters, people are reporting that it's outperforming even larger models on certain tasks, which is quite remarkable. It demonstrates that innovation in AI isn't limited to big tech companies.
Right.
Smaller, independent developers are also making significant contributions.
It's like a David and Goliath story in the world of AI. I love that. What's behind the Steiner model's success?
One key factor is specialization. The Steiner reasoning model, as its name suggests, is specifically designed for reasoning tasks. It's not trying to be a jack of all trades like some larger, more general-purpose models. This focus allows it to excel in its niche.
So it's not just about building bigger and bigger models. It's about understanding the specific tasks and domains where certain models excel. It's like having different tools in your toolbox. You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a bolt, right?
Exactly.
You'd choose the right tool for the job.
Exactly. And for you, this means that it's worth looking beyond the hype surrounding massive AI models and considering the specific capabilities of different models. Don't just focus on size. Look for models that are tailored to the tasks you need to accomplish.
That's a great point. I'm always drawn to the headlines about these massive models with billions of parameters. But it's a good reminder that bigger isn't always better.
Indeed. Now, shifting gears slightly, the AI News Digest also highlighted some interesting discussions surrounding data privacy and security in the context of these AI coding tools.
Ah, yes. Those ethical considerations are always important to keep in mind. What were some of the key points raised in the digest?
In the Codium Discord channel, there's a lively debate among users about the safety of using proprietary AI tools on sensitive code.
No.
Some users are expressing concerns about the potential for data snooping and the lack of transparency in closed-source systems.
I can understand those concerns. It's like inviting a stranger into your home and trusting them not to peek into your private belongings. But in this case, those belongings are valuable source code or potentially even personal data. The stakes are high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with sensitive information like that, trust becomes paramount. Some users are advocating for open source AI solutions as a way to mitigate these privacy concerns. With open source, you at least have the option to inspect the code and understand how your data is being handled.
That transparency is appealing. It puts more control in the hands of the user. But are there any downsides to the open source approach when it comes to AI tools?
One potential downside is the increased risk of vulnerabilities. When code is publicly available, it's easier for malicious actors to identify and exploit security flaws.
Right.
This is a valid concern, and it highlights the importance of robust security practices within open source communities.
It's a reminder that there are trade-offs to consider with both open source and closed source approaches.
Yeah.
Neither is inherently better. It depends on your priorities and the specific context.
Absolutely. And as AI tools become increasingly integrated into our workflows, these considerations will only become more important. We need to strike a balance between innovation, user experience, and responsible development practices.
Well said. Okay, so we've covered technical glitches, user demands, ethical dilemmas, and even the philosophical debate between open source and proprietary AI. What a whirlwind. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the hardware side of things. What are some of the hardware highlights from the AI News Digest?
One of the most buzzworthy developments is Groq's LPU Inference Engine, which is achieving impressive speeds of 241 tokens per second.
Wow.
This is generating a lot of excitement because it challenges the dominance of traditional GPUs in AI processing.
Wow, 241 tokens per second. That's significantly faster than what we were discussing earlier with DeepSeek V3.
Yeah.
Is this Groq LPU a specialized piece of hardware?
It is. The Groq LPU is specifically designed for AI inference, which is the process of using a trained AI model to make predictions or generate outputs.
Ah.
Its architecture is optimized for this task, which allows it to achieve those remarkable speeds.
It sounds like a game changer for AI applications that require fast processing, like real-time language translation or image recognition.
Exactly. And it's not the only specialized AI hardware making waves. Cerebras WSE-3 is another powerful AI chip that's pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It seems like a whole new generation of hardware is emerging to support these increasingly complex and demanding AI models. It's amazing to witness this rapid pace of innovation.
It truly is. And for you, this means that the hardware landscape is just as dynamic and fascinating as the software side of AI. Keeping an eye on these hardware developments can give you a better understanding of what's possible in the world of AI and where the technology might be headed next.
It's like watching a race between different hardware and software teams, each pushing the boundaries of what's possible. What an exciting time to be following the world of AI.
I completely agree. Now, as we move into our final segment, we'll delve deeper into the ongoing discussion about open source versus proprietary AI and explore its potential impact on the future of this transformative technology.
Okay, we've covered so much in this deep dive.
Yeah.
From massive new models to pricing wars, ethical dilemmas, and even the race for faster hardware.
Right.
Seems like the AI world never slows down.
It's definitely a dynamic and rapidly evolving landscape. But as we wrap up our look at the last AI News Digest of 2024, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier,
Okay.
the tension between open source and proprietary AI development.
Yeah, that's a conversation that keeps coming up throughout all these different developments. It's like an underlying current that's shaping the direction of the entire field. It'd be great to unpack that a bit more.
Okay.
What are the core arguments on each side of this debate, and how do you see it playing out in the future?
Well, on the open source side, the core values are transparency, collaboration, and accessibility. Proponents believe that sharing code and data openly can accelerate innovation and foster a more diverse and inclusive AI community.
It sounds like a very community-driven approach, almost like a grassroots movement for AI development.
In a way, yes. There's a strong belief that open source can democratize access to powerful AI tools, enabling smaller businesses, researchers, and individual developers to contribute to the field. It levels the playing field and avoids the concentration of power in the hands of a few large corporations.
I can see the appeal of that. It creates a more open and collaborative environment for innovation. What about the other side of the coin? What are the arguments in favor of the proprietary approach?
Those who favor proprietary development often cite concerns about quality control, security, and the potential for misuse. They argue that keeping models and code closely guarded allows for more rigorous testing and safeguards against malicious use.
So it's a trade-off between openness and control. Or openness can lead to faster innovation and wider access, but it also increases the risk of unintended consequences.
Exactly. And there's no easy answer to which approach is better. It depends on the specific context, the nature of the AI technology being developed, and the values and priorities of the developers involved.
It seems like both approaches have their strengths and weaknesses. And it's likely that both will continue to coexist and influence the AI landscape in different ways.
I agree. It's not a black and white issue. And ultimately, it's the users and consumers of AI who will play a key role in shaping this landscape through their choices and their demands.
That's a really important point. We're not just passive observers in this AI revolution. Our decisions about which tools to use, which companies to support, and which policies to advocate for will influence the direction of the field.
Absolutely. The future of AI is being shaped right now, and everyone has a role to play in ensuring that it's a future that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. It's both exciting and a bit daunting to realize the power we have as users to influence the direction of such a transformative technology.
Indeed. But with great power comes great responsibility, as they say. As we move into 2025 and beyond, it's crucial that we stay informed, engage in these important conversations, and make conscious choices that align with our values.
That's excellent advice. Okay, so that wraps up our deep dive into the last AI Daily News Digest of 2024. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey through the world of AI. We've covered a lot of ground, but one thing is clear, this is just the beginning. The AI landscape is constantly evolving, and we can't wait to see what the future holds.
It's been a pleasure exploring these developments with you. And to our listeners, we encourage you to stay curious, stay engaged, and keep asking those critical questions. The future of AI is in our hands.